Thank you very much. Mina Fazel, I'm really delighted that she's here because when we first started our studies, we had been inspired by Mina Fazel. She has intervention studies. For that reason, I would like to thank, Miss Bengü and Psychopharmacology Association. For the last 5-6 years, there are important studies going on about refugees, both in Turkey and around the globe. But I have felt this really much recently. There is not much sympathy going on in Turkey recently because the number of refugees has increased over 3.5 million. And I can see this with my colleagues as well. They're frustrated, for instance, about refugees because they do not get in the queue in order to be treated at hospitals, or else like they enter university without examination, or else their income is much better than ours, so they say. So these are perceptions. Do they reflect reality? I guess not. And there is also a general perception that camps are really good in Turkey. Yes, in Malatya, in Antep, UNICEF camps are really nice. But not each camp is as good as the camps in Malatya or as Gaziantep. I would like to mention about those camps as well. And this is the Batman Beşiri Ezidi camp. And I would like to talk about this camp and also the studies that we have carried out. 193 tents we had in this camp. After the Yazidi refugees, immigration, we had been here. And we spent 2 months and we went to all tents in this camp. Because when we went to the camp and when we spoke with the officials there, they said that their children didn't suffer from any problems in this camp. But especially refugee kids, them playing outside, actually smiling, laughing, does not reflect the reality, because when we enter inside the camp and when we talk to children in the tents, we have determined important emotional trauma. Is this a really good camp? I just leave the interpretation to you. This is not only the camp of Batman municipality. There are all these this camp problem is valid all across Turkey, and this is not only a Turkey problem. Actually, around the globe, the camps are not good. And I don't want people to get the impression that people are really feeling pleasure at camps. Well, of course, we plan those people to spend at the most 1 year in a camp, but that is not the reality. I was in Van, and we had the earthquake, and I had to stay in a container house and for 6 months, and I know how it feels to live in a camp. And there is this photo. When we went there, the schools were about to close. And the refugee children, what is the most important thing that we can do with them? Yes, schooling is the most important. That is the most important protective factor, actually. Now, in Digital University, there is a new project which we have started. The medical faculty students, and there is also interim education centers in Diyarbakir. 800 students attend there. This is the brothers sisters project, and to integrate those refugee kids to schools. Schooling is a protective factor which is really important for us. We had visited homes, and here we see schools. But they are not in good condition. The teachers are totally volunteers without receiving any income, actually, any money they teach. And here, actually, there is my family behind this photo. It's not easy to enter inside the camps. Afad camps, it's really difficult to enter inside. Through NGOs, we have to do that, and we've been to a few camps, and through doctors actually we were able to enter. Even though we had the top officials' permission to enter inside the camp, we had to wait for hours out of the camp in order to enter inside. It is really difficult to get those permissions. It's beneficial if you get in touch with an NGO to enter inside the camp, and Yazidis actually were highly supported by the municipality, so the municipality actually enabled us to enter inside the camp. One of the photos that touched me the most. This is not a photo which I shot actually, but I just wanted to share with you in order for you to understand the refugees. This is a real photo. This is a Yazidi, a female, a girl, and she's sold as a slave. So there is an auction, and a price is tagged for her, and you can just feel the pain that she has suffered. And so now she's in our country, and now we discriminate that girl. Why are you not in your homeland? Why are you in our country? So we actually disregard the factors that triggered them to come actually to Turkey. So when we evaluate the factors before and after immigration, I don't think that we're fully aware of these factors, especially the pre-immigration factors. Yes. So, knowing Kurdish is really important when we work with these kids. And when we searched the literature, we saw that this was also a limitation, because the number of psychiatrists who speak Kurdish is really low in numbers. So speaking the same language was a really good advantage for us. In terms of reliance also, it was really important, because the Yazidi population, mostly they're introverted, and they're not that extroverted, and they do not cooperate with other societies, and there were also familiar factors, and by speaking the same language we developed a reliance, a mutual reliance. And we had 2 SESs, and the interviews were conducted approximately in an hour, and so 72.8% of this population, our study group actually, had psychiatric diagnosis. 63 of these cases were females, and 30% were between the age 12 to 17. In the Yazidi population, which is introverted, as I said, they are really low socio-economic level, but the schooling rate over in their country was 84, which dropped down to 61% when they came to our camps. Again, as I said, the protective factor is schooling. And 96% of these children still remain with their families, and the outcomes actually are in line with the literature. Post-traumatic stress syndrome is 53, and behavioral disorders, phobia, and repetitive behaviors. We also detected them with children. Again, another study that we carried out with Yazidis. We said that, okay, there are problems. So what about when we go to the villages? So we did a village study, because we wanted to evaluate the risk factors. The ones in the village could be better, so we said, because again we went to a Yazidi village, and in refugee civilizations, populations, TTS and depression, we thought that it would be less in villages, but was that the case? No, it wasn't actually. And here you see the photos from villages. And this was all actually published article. We interviewed 55 children, 30 of them were boys, Batman, Üçkuyular, Onbaşı, and Urca villages we visited. Actually, it was not easy to go to those villages. Again, with personal contacts, actually, we went to those villages, because you cannot go just randomly to a village saying that you come from Sakarya and you would like to interview them. Mostly they do not speak. And those camps, actually, because that is one of the reasons actually why they don't accept foreigners inside the camps, because they feel themselves being exploited actually. And the manager of the camp also said that, because researchers, for instance, they just come and they do questionnaires, they take photos and they go. We don't want this, so the manager said. And with my colleague, when we did the study, we said that yes, we should intervene also. We should do something for the ones living in the camps. Only diagnosis is was not satisfactory for us. So in this village study, we find out that 92% of the ones faced violence, and 54% of them saw a dead person, at least. And 67% of them do say that the war would not come to an end. With adolescents, this rate is a bit higher. We asked about their fear levels before the immigration, during and after. And the ones who said that they were severely fearful, it was 85%. And post-traumatic stress syndrome was 36%, depression rate was 32%, and returna 10%, phobia, anxiety, and hyperactivity also. They were detected. And so how do we work with these refugees, with camps? I would like to mention a few words about them also. Well, this is not only about sexual abuse, but with all traumatic children, how should we treat them? Yes, in Turkey, all across Turkey, there are refugees. 3 years ago, when we worked with refugees, yes, actually, we were the particular ones, the specific ones who were only working with refugees. But now, all of us actually, all psychiatrists, somehow have contact with refugees, and they work with refugees actually, help refugees. So this has become our primary important topic for us, and this is really important. For instance, in Germany, there are fourth generation Turks living there, and they are still being discussed. So this will be the same case for the Syrian refugees in Turkey in the upcoming years. So we have to, of course, strengthen the confidence of these people. And for instance, they face sexual abuse. We take that child, detach it from the family, and send it to a camp or else to another city. So their relation, attachment with their families, for instance, their previous life, past life, actually is deteriorated, because in your homeland you feel yourself in the safest place with your family, but now they are displaced. So they feel trapped actually, because if they move on, they would get drowned in the Mediterranean Sea, or else be captivated in a camp. So the main issue here should be to strengthen their mood and improve their situation. Yes, we feel sad about them. So this is actually transmission, and we feel sorry about them, and they feel that we feel sad about them, so they also feel sad. So actually, this is a method of transference which should be done really well. I mean, like acting like a parent, I will always be beside you, next to you. So these are promises which cannot be kept, so we have to be cautious about them also. When we talk with a refugee child, Cambridge says that the life of a patient depends on controlling the therapist. They also do that with us. Where do you live, for instance? They ask, and they try to turn on the lights or else off the lights, for instance. They try to control you, or else they add you from Facebook, social media, or else they impact your friends, for instance, a psychiatrist, she found out that the patient actually was going out, seeing his niece, because they try to be a part of the psychiatrist's life. And the existence of the third person, you have to know that. So what's that third person? It's the perpetrators. And this is the betrayalty trauma. So people around us are good and others are bad. This is a perception of as such, and in their auras they are attacked by others, or else the next village, for instance, community, and they don't have any one to depend on, and there is this highly idealized therapist, and we have to be cautious about that as well while you're working with these kids. Do they feel frustration against the therapist? Yes, they do so, because I live in really bad conditions, they live in good conditions. That is the idea that they have, and this also is reflected in the therapeutic process, and sometimes they feel love and sometimes hatred for us. And one of the most frequent mistakes that we make is that the mimics and facial expressions, we should not use them that much. We have to check our mobile phones, for instance. I was just looking through the computers, and with my mobile phone, for instance, I put it on the flight mode when I enter inside the camp, because with a single movement actually that you do, this contact, for instance, actually deteriorates their reliance towards you. Is it difficult to work with traumatic children? Yes, it is, and much support is needed. It is really difficult to work alone, and trauma actually is contagious. So I think with that we have to work as a team of 5-10. While preparing the project, or else this empathic feeling, transferring it. In this respect, it is really important to work as a team. Can you wrap up? Yes. So how did we feel during this process? Sometimes therapists, yes, they cannot get pleasure from life when you do this, when you're in this process, because we enter inside the camp, and when we get out, we cannot feel ourselves good, we cannot laugh, smile, because there is this huge transference that you receive, because there are victims of war, and they live in those camps, and it doesn't make you any good when you get out of the camp. You cannot feel yourself good. Reliance, memory, mooring, and reconnection, reattachment is really important. So the most essential item of therapy is recalling, actually, and we have to fill in the gaps in between, because many children blame themselves. They say that they had to protect their families. For instance, there was this child who was seeing repetitive dreams, and their siblings, sisters, were captivated by ISIS, and he continuously mourns that, actually mourns over his sisters, thinking that you could have saved and rescued them, which is not the case actually. So when you go to camps, actually, you can use forms with your mother, which is written in their mother tongue. And if Norway Marine Platform, the documents were translated into their mother tongue, and 1 year later, when they went to the camp, they saw those forms, still children carrying them in their pockets, because it was valuable for them, because it was written in their own mother tongue. And another important thing with these refugee children, refusing or else accepting help. So once we receive this help, we will be weak. We're already weak, and we haven't been able to protect ourselves, which is mostly prevalent perception with adolescents and adults. They say that they were not, they couldn't help themselves when they were back in their country, and now they are here, and a therapist helping them. They are not sure whether it would help them out or not. And giving the feeling of control is really important with these kids, like schooling or else about social life. We have a relation, a confident, relation based on confidence should be established, and also we should ensure reliance, safety, so all people have a right to live a dignified life, and they have this right to live in safe places, so we have to protect them. Thank you very much.